we'll just get started now, I guess. Let me go over the PowerPoint. All right, can you all see that?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. All right, what is OPC? OPC is an open connectivity specification that supports interoperability through creation and maintenance of open standards specification. That's a mouthful. Basically, what OPC is, it's based on OEL-COM, which is a specification, I believe, of Microsoft. And an OPC allows for having a standard for exchanging data. It makes it very easy to share data between different applications. And so the idea is that we can take spreadsheet cells and tag them, and I'll get into how we do this. But what that does is it gives it a label for that data, and then that data will be made available through the OPC server to other applications. If you've ever used native mode commands, it's a lot easier than that. Native mode commands tend to take programming. You have to have knowledge of how InSight works. It's kind of messy, so this is a lot easier to use. And OPC is available for InSight Explorer 3.1 and later on the 5000 and 3400 vision sensors. So if you have any older customers with 2000s, 3000, or 4000s, that's not available. Like I said, the OPC server is meant to share data, and the InSight OPC server is designed with the idea that the data in InSight can be shared with an HMI or used for data logging in a spreadsheet, which I'll be showing you two different examples of that. And it eliminates the need for custom programming. The way we do this, I mentioned some tags. I'm going to show you how we do that. It's very simple. This is basically what OPC is. You have an OPC server that's running, and one application, which might be InSight, is connected to the OPC server and sharing data with the server, and then any other application that connects with the OPC server also has access to that data. And so depending on how different pieces of data are configured, one application can read the data of another application or write to the data of another application. It's simplified. There's no custom drivers, no communications protocols. It's a very simple scheme. To set up OPC, there's basically three different steps. One is that you tag your data, which would be any cell in the spreadsheet that you want to share. You would give it a tag. You would then go into the InSight OPC server and configure how that data is going to be used, and then the third-party software program that you have can then use those tags to look at that data. So in order to set up a tag, what you would do is you would right-click on a cell, and you can stop me at any time if either of you have questions. You right-click on a cell, and one of the options that you can pick is Insert OPC Tag. And when you do that, this dialog box opens up, and you give it a unique name, which would be unique within the job, because the OPC tags will be saved per job. And then just click OK. And that's really the only part in Explorer that you have to do. Once you do that, you would open up the InSight OPC server, and you would configure those tags. You would determine, what kind of access do you want to that data. Is that data that's just going to be read or written to? So read-write or just read access. And then what kind of data is it? specifying whether it's an integer, a float, Boolean, a string, etc. The server logs events. I lost my cursor. There we go. In a window below, telling when a configuration was read, when a login was successful, etc. So what this does, or what we were trying to do, is to be able to have whoever is writing the vision application on InSight not to have to understand how the HMI package works. They can simply set up the InSight, set up the tags, and then tell the HMI person, these are the names of the tags of the data that we're working with. It allows the HMI developer to not have to know anything about InSight Explorer. He's just given he or she is given a list of the tag names and what that data is, and they can write their HMI based on that. So there's none or very little code that has to be written, and what code there is will be very standard OPC calls.
Jim, can those tags typically be imported by an HMI software?
They're not imported. What it is the OPC server knows what those tags are, and so they're just referenced. Like the HMI developer would make a software call and ask for the data for a particular tag. So whoever sets up the tags in InSight would tell the HMI programmer, well, this tag is for the X coordinate. We call it X.
Right.
You'll see when I get to the demo.
Won't there be a need for a memory location for that data in the HMI?
No, and that's what's so nice about it. What's so cool? It's just simply referenced by a name.
So the tag really only resides in the OPC, the InSight OPC server.
Right. I mean, the OPC server knows where that data is.
Okay.
But the programmer doesn't have to worry about that. It's all underneath the hood.
All right.
InSight Explorer doesn't have to be running when you do this. That information exists on the camera itself, and so InSight Explorer can be just shut down.
Okay.
One of the things that we have gotten requests for is communicating with Excel. I'm going to show a little demo on that with some sample code. That requires some VB to be programmed in the spreadsheet, but you can do this to write data to a spreadsheet and do data logging. When you first launch the OPC server, it comes up and it says configuration file was not found because there isn't one. So what we need to do is actually create one. And so we would click on the configuration button, which is right here. And when we do that, I hope this all shows up on your screen because there's a lot of stuff in here. It opens up this dialog box and with a list of the different sensors. And so you can click on a sensor, and when you do that, as we see down below, it will list all the available tags of information on that sensor. And by default, there will be several different tags that are available on any InSight sensor. Things like acquisition count, discrete online, job name, those kinds of things are always available. Well, at least, yeah, they're always available. Now, if you want to use them, no, let me back up. Also available will be any tags that you've set up in the spreadsheet. So if you had an application that had a piece of data, such as maybe you had X, Y, and angle, and we set up the tags for that, those tags would show up in this available tags list, along with the ones that are of type sensor. If we want to use one, we would highlight that particular tag and then click on Add That Tag, and then it would show up over here. And then we can configure it for whether it's read-write or just read, and for what kind of data that particular tag is. And then once we close that up, we would then want to start the server. There's a start button, which is the green triangle. There's also a pause or stop button. But we would start up that server, and then once we do that, then the OPC servers handling the data and other applications would have access to these tags. Let me skip that one. Oh, we'll go right to the demo then. So let me close this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to InSight. And what I've done is I've put together a simple bracket application, which maybe you've seen this part before. We've used it in most of our seminars. And I've set up a program where it's finding this bracket, and I have the row, column, and angle being reported. And down below that, I put in some error-free cells so that we don't ever get any errored data. And then I've set up output. So this is what I want to be output to the OPC server. And in this case, what it does is it either it's going to report the X, Y, and angle, or if I grab an image that doesn't have the bracket, instead of airing out, I'm just going to send a -999. That's just a programming thing, and it really doesn't have anything to do with the OPC. But I've got 3 different images here. So we want this data to go out to the OPC server. So we would, if we want to do that, we would right-click on the cell and scroll down to Insert OPC Tag. And in this case, I'm going to call this, change the name from new tag. I'm going to just make that name X. And then I'm going to add another one, so I'll say add, and I'm going to make this one Y, and then I'll want to select the cell, and so I'm using cell C9. I'll add another one for the angle. I'll call that one angle. Select the cell, which is C10. And I've also got a count that I've added, so I'll put that in also. And select that cell. Is everything clear so far?
Yes.
No questions? Okay, so what we've done is, I'm sorry?
No, all good.
Okay. So what we've done is we've given those cells tag names, X, Y, angle, and counter. And the OPC server is going to know what those are and where to get that data. So I'm going to just say OK. And then I'm going to go back to go to the OPC server. And this is what it looks like when you open it up. And I'm going to want to configure the OPC server. So I'll click on our Edit Configuration. It'll open up a dialog that'll show the different sensors that are on the system. And in this case, I'm just running this off of my PC using the emulator. So the only one that's available is Engine. But you would see a list of all the InSight units that are on the network. So I'll click on Engine, and it lists all the tags that are currently available. So we have all these ones of type sensor, those are always there on any InSight unit. And then you can see that I've got the tags that I defined, angle, counter, X, and Y. So if we want to use these tags in another program, in the HMI, for instance, we would click on a tag, and then click on the Add the Selected Tag to the Configuration. And then it'll show up in the right-hand pane. So I'm going to add the 4 different tags that I had in my spreadsheet: angle, counter, X, and Y. So now this data is available to another program to use through the OPC server. So now that I've changed the, set up the configuration, I'll close this, and it'll ask me if I want to save it. So I'll say yes. Give it a little bit there. All right, now it's showing what is available on Engine. It shows the three different tags, the access level, and what kind they are. And you know what? There's something I didn't do, and that was the angle and the X and Y are floats, but the counter is really an integer. So I'm going to go back and change that. And so I'll go and click on my counter, and I'm going to edit the configuration for the counter, and I'm going to make that an integer. It really wouldn't make that much difference probably, but I just want to show how you do that. And then I'll close it, and again it'll ask me if I want to save. So this data is available. It doesn't have anything yet. I haven't started the server, and so it says the data is out of service. I'll go ahead and run the server, or start it up. And now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and go back to InSight, and I'm going to grab an image, and then can you see InSight right now? Hello?
No.
I'm sorry. What's on your screen right now?
Blank.
Oh, it's blank. Okay.
It started to come up and then it went away.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. This is the first time I've used this thing, so excuse me.
Been good
for
so
that.
far.
Oh, that's not what I wanted.
Now we got the PowerPoint.
Yeah, we don't want that. Right, I want the OPC server.
That was up a minute ago. Yeah.
Okay, can you see the server?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just when you switch to
I closed
InSight
somehow.
or
What did I do?
there you go. Now you just wanted to switch to InSight Explorer.
I don't know why my connection closed. Let me go back. Sorry about that. I'm having a little problem.
Now we can see InSight Explorer.
Okay. Connection closed. For some reason, it's closing my connection.
Yeah. All clients disconnected.
Shoot, I'm having a problem here.
There you go. Connection established. Connection closed.
Yeah, it's like it's opening it and then it's closing it, and I'm not sure why that's happening. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm not sure why it's doing this. Are you still seeing what?
Now we have Explorer coming up.
Okay. For some reason I got disconnected from the meeting. So hold on.
Okay.
Okay, can you see, you see InSight now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Let me go back to the OPC server, see if I can get it running again. Yeah, I don't know why it's closing on me. If this was
Now, if you close it and open it back up, will those tags be there?
yes, they will. So let me close this. I'm going to reopen it and reshare it. Maybe there's a problem with it. Maybe there's a problem with sharing it. I'm not sure.
Right.
So let me go back and reopen the server. Okay, can you see the server again?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, shoot. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't like this when I'm actually sharing it in the live meeting. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was working at first.
Because it was working, you know, when I did this offline. So it might have a problem. Well, we're just going to move forward and see.
Okay.
See how we go. What I wanted to show you was that if you look at let me wait. I kind of lost the OPC. Hold on. Share application.
Don't feel bad, Jim.
I'll explain what was supposed to happen. How about that?
Yeah. A couple of weeks ago, Frank Baumgartner, he lost his complete connection, so he was kicked out of the meeting both on the phone and online.
Oh, okay. Well, what was supposed to happen is that this data would update.
Right.
And you would see the values in here. And then I would go back to InSight and
Change the numbers.
Go to Explore, get the next image, the data would change, and then you could go back to the OPC server and then see the data. But it's not working right with the shared application. So let me go on to the next demo, and hopefully that one will work. So I want to go back to, let's see, I'm going to go to my InSight Explorer, and I'm going to load in a different job. And this is an example of writing to an Excel spreadsheet, which I don't know if this is going to work either, but we'll try it. And let me open up that spreadsheet. And I'll have to share that with you guys. Share an application. So we'll see. I have a feeling this isn't going to work either, because I think the OPC server just doesn't like to be in a shared mode. In which case, maybe I can unshare it, and I'll just start it up, and maybe that'll hopefully work. This is an example of a spreadsheet. Can you see this spreadsheet?
Yes.
Okay. Where we're looking at data from an InSight unit. Now, the name in this case is Brazil. I'm going to change that to the name of my PC. And this data would be available. I'm not going to be able to connect just yet to the OPC server because the OPC server is not running. And I need to configure it. What I need is my acquisition count. I'm going to get rid of these tags that I put in. I'm going to look at my acquisition count and the different tags from this job. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go ahead and save that configuration. And again, I'm going to try and start it up. Ah, good. Connection was established. At least this one looks like it might work. So I've connected the OPC server to the InSight, and now I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet. I've got the name of engine in here, and I've got my tags that I'm going to be looking at, so I'm going to say connect. And now, if we look at the data here, I'm going to say sync. And so this is the data that I should see if I'm on the InSight. So we've got 6 pieces of data here. Let's just look at one of them, my string. It says data. So if I go back to InSight Explorer, you'll see my string says data. I'm going to change that string to something. This is my string. And then I'll go back to the OPC, or back to the PowerPoint. I'm going to sync the data, and now you see that it shows up in the spreadsheet. You know, we can look at some of the other things on here. The integer is 55. Let's go back to InSight Explorer. I'll change that number to 63. If I go back to my spreadsheet and sync the data, we now see that 63 shows up under my integer.
Why do you have to push sync read? What's that do?
It's just the way the program is written. In this case, the program, what happens is, and I'm going to get into the code in a little bit. Actually, we could jump into it, but when I push this button, it's updating that data. You can make the program automatically update whenever the data becomes fresh.
Okay.
There's a software event that takes care of that. Let me go into the, I'll go ahead and show you the code.
Is this a sample code that people can use and copy and paste to expand on that to get a bunch of more tags into an Excel spreadsheet?
You know, I believe this actually comes as an example with InSight.
Yeah.
But this is available to anybody that would want it. But
can you then expand it real easily just by copy and paste and tag names?
You could easily take this and adjust it for different pieces of data or different tag names if you wanted to. You probably wouldn't even need to know Visual Basic. If you know any programming language, you'd probably be able to figure out how to do it. I'm going to open up the code that's behind this. Is that visible to you?
Yes.
Okay. You know, because neither of you guys are Visual Basic programmers, I'm just kind of gloss through this. But basically, what's happening is you know, when I clicked that connect button, and what that did was it creates in the program an OPC server, and then connects it to the name of the OPC server on whatever it connects to whatever InSight unit. In this case, that name is inside the spreadsheet in this row and column, and that's what it's using. I typed in the name of my computer, Engine, and so that's where the server resides, and so it's taking that name and connecting to it. That button that updates the data, the sync read, is here, And basically what it does is it calls the, it takes that OPC server and grabs the data and goes around in a loop for the different cells that I have and stuffs the data into each of those cells. So if you want to use a spreadsheet, there is some coding you have to do just because you're writing to and from the spreadsheet. If you're working with an HMI, it would probably be a little bit simpler than this. I don't know if that, does that make any sense at all?
Yeah, it does. I was thinking that Excel was an OPC, could be set up as an OPC client.
It isn't in this case. I think, you know, I kind of had that impression too, but after looking at this example, it looks to me like you have to actually have some sort of code that's doing the that's going out and grabbing the data and putting it in. I'd have to look into that.
VB is basically serving as a client, right? It's looking at those tags and putting them into Excel.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a script that's running in the background.
Yeah. Good.
Well, now that we've got the this thing seems to be working, let me go back to that original demo and see if I can get it to work. Close this. I'm going to go back to my Explorer and open up my job that I had before. And of course I didn't save it, so the tags aren't, I got to re-enter the tags. So this will be X, Y, angle, and count. I've gone ahead and added the OPC tags. I'll go back to the OPC server, and I'm going to have to change the configuration now again. I really don't want these tags. I'm going to go back and get the ones I just added. My XY angle and count. And I'll save that configuration. Okay, so now we have a connection. And I'll go back to InSight. I'm going to grab an image, go back to the server, and it didn't work right. Why didn't it work?
Your communication failed again.
It says connection established this time.
Well, the quality is up top has failed.
I'm sorry?
It says quality, communications failed.
Yeah, but down here it's saying it's established, so I'm not sure why it's doing this. That's not what I wanted. Sorry. I don't know what this looks like on your end. Sorry, I'm kind of switching back and forth between stuff. Pretty quick.
Jim, could it be that this application has a hold of the communications?
No, because you can have multiple programs.
Looking at a server, right?
Yeah, yeah. should.
Does Engine need to be online?
No, it doesn't. It shouldn't. I've run this outside of the shared, online meeting, and it does not have to be online. So I'm not sure. I'll put it online, but it was working offline before, so let me try putting it online. Where's my online button? Let's see what happens here. Yeah, it's still, for some reason, it's not doing what yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm not sure why it's not working on the when we're in the shared meeting.
Concept is still there. The way you configure.
It's just disappointing when it doesn't when I can't show it actually doing what I want to see. I've configured it right. Oh well.
Under your server drop-down menu up top, what are your options there?
Run, suspend, edit. That's what I've been doing.
Same thing.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So, sorry about that.
The little check mark by engine, what's that mean?
Right here?
No, over in the configuration tree under configured sensors. See a little green check mark?
I'm not sure where you're. The only green check mark I see is right here.
Oh, where under your control buttons where it says configured sensors, engine, is a picture of an InSight with a little bitty check mark.
Yeah. That's showing what tags are available and what's configured on that particular InSight.
Okay, but that little green check mark by the icon, is that indicating that it's to move your cursor to the left?
It means connections established.
Oh, okay.
When I look at it down below in the log, it oh, there it goes again. Connection established, connection closed.
All right. Oh, well.
So it's closing the read. I don't know why. So, again, sorry about that. Did you guys have any questions, or did it make sense?
I guess what would be the connection then to a given HMI?
In the HMI, it would be something similar to what I showed with the Visual Basic code. There'd just be a function that connects to the OPC server, and then a function call to go and read the data using the tag names.
Okay.
So the HMI doesn't need to know where the data is. It's just saying to the server, hey, I have this tag name, I want the data. Or I want to write this data. So the HMI programmer doesn't have to know anything about InSight, how it's programmed, or anything. He just has a tag name that has the data.
Cool.
Did you have any questions, Dave?
Not really. But is this presentation available on the website somewhere, along with some sample VB code?
I'm not sure if it's available on the web or not, as far as the examples, but I can send you them.
That would be great.
Can I get your email address?
Sure. My last name, Girard, GIROUARD, at mc-mc.com.
Girard, Girouard.
Yep.
At, what was it again?
At mc-mc.com.
mc-mc.com. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I can send you these.
That'd be great.
And since you said you know how to do C, so
Yep.
I'm sure you can look at this and figure out what it's doing.
Yeah, I'm actually working with Rick Campbell gave me a VB book so that I could sit down and get up to speed on it.
And if you have any questions or need any help, you can call our tech support line and ask for me. I can give you a hand with it, so.
Okay.
Not a problem.
Sounds good.
And that sample spreadsheet does come with InSight Explorer.
I believe it does.
Yeah.
But I can send it anyway if you don't have it. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, then we're pretty much done.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it, Jim. Thank you.
Oh, no problem.
Thanks, Jim. We'll see you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.